And one of the things that we do with them is we get them closer to you. So this is why they're here today, to answer your questions and hopefully offer some guidance with their expertise. So we have representatives from Google, IBM, Northrop Grumman Corporation, and Oracle here in the room today. So I am going to be calling each one of you by name, and I'm going to ask that you introduce yourselves with your name, title, company. I mean, if you can briefly describe what your team does. And also if you want to specify whether you have a master's or a PhD and where you obtained that, that is also welcome. So let's go with Alvin from Google. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Alvin. As mentioned, I'm at Google. I've been there since 2011, straight out of getting a PhD from Purdue University in computer science. I currently work on a pose team, and what that is specifically is we take imagery that can be geolocated around the world, so it might be from the ground for like Street View, for example, or from the air for our aerial teams, which might make 3D reconstructions of the world. And we are tasked with finding the precise location of the camera in which they were taken so that we can make accurate experiences for the world.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alvin. Now, Morgan from IBM, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Langlis, and I'm with IBM. I've been there for about 4 years now. I have a master's degree in computer science from Texas State University, and my exact job title is Data and Cloud Platform Customer Success Manager. Nobody ever knows what it means. I don't even. It basically means that I work with customers. We really just build a lot of chatbots. We work with customers to deploy cloud solutions and kind of guide them along their AI journey.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Christina Harmon from IBM as well.
Hi, my name is Christina Harmon. I have been with IBM for 8 years now. I'm actually part of the talent acquisition team. I do not have a master's or a PhD, so I'm just here to support Morgan and answer any questions that you all may have. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yes, by the way, no pressure on the talent acquisition folks. You don't have a PhD. And for the students, we just have a few talent acquisition folks from these companies as well here representing and supporting their PhDs or master's employees with some questions. Now, Ryan Aguinaldo from Northrop Grumman.
Thank you, Rocio. Again, Ryan Aguinaldo, Northrop Grumman. My title is Manager Emerging Science Technology, which is kind of ambiguous at times. Basically, I am an R&D portfolio manager, so my team does a mix of technology scouting. Of course, we do targeted R&D projects. The focus of my group is essentially to look for potentially disruptive technologies that could affect the business, the core business of Northrop Grumman. If you don't know Northrop Grumman, we are a large defense contractor, so you can just kind of imagine the wide range of things that we're involved in. I received my doctorate from UCSD, so I'm actually alumnus of the ECE department. That was, I think, back in 2014. So, not too long ago, not too soon ago. And I think that's all the questions I was supposed to answer, right?
Yes, thank you so much. And I see some clapping here for alum. Thank you. Wonderful. And next, Chinmayi, am I pronouncing your name correctly, or is it Chinmayi?
No, that's perfect. Chinmayi.
Perfect. From Oracle. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chinmayi. I'm a consulting member of technical staff at Oracle. I've been with Oracle for the past 9 years, and I joined immediately after my PhD at UT Austin. I'm part of the in-memory technologies group at Oracle, and I've been with the same group ever since I joined, so I really like the work that we do. Our group is responsible for the core Oracle database engine. This includes in-memory, file systems, space management, transaction, indexes, and a whole lot of other beautiful stuff that makes the storage engine what it is today.
Wonderful, thank you. And we also have Victor from Oracle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victor Zachary. I'm a senior member of technical staff at Oracle. I work in the transaction layer. So we're a neighbor group with Chinmayi. So we are managing the transaction layer of the Oracle core RDBMS system. and building the next generation database. So building the transaction layer of the next generation database at Oracle. I joined Oracle early 2020. So I have been there for a year after finishing my PhD in distributed systems and distributed data management from UCSB.
Perfect, wonderful. And we also have Satarupa from the talent acquisition team at Oracle.
Hi, my name is Shatarupa. I'm a team lead at the talent acquisition team at Oracle. I'm here to support Chinmay and Victor and answer any recruiting related questions.
Perfect, wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to start with the first question, and this one is particular to the PhD employers here. And so anyone who wants to go first, you can either raise your hand or directly unmute yourselves and answer the question. Why did you decide to pursue a career in industry as a PhD versus academia? And how did you make this decision? This is something that a lot of the students here today might be still debating.
I guess I'll just jump right in. So I may be the exception, not the rule, when it comes to this question and answer, in the sense that when I was done with my doctorate, I liked the work that I had done to get that doctorate, to get that degree. But after I think 6 years it was, I decided that I've solved the problem. I'd like to move on to a new problem. So for me specifically, I was actually looking to do something else, maybe not, or let's put it this way, not as unaligned as possible with what I'd done over the last 6 years of my life. And it just so happened that Northrop Grumman had a program that not only allowed that, but also encouraged that. So I'll do a quick shameless plug over here. Northrop Grumman has what we call the Future Technical Leaders Program. It's a program specifically for MS, PhD, and graduates and also postdocs. And it basically takes them and tells them, okay, you've solved an interesting problem, now go on and solve other problems that we have. So that's what really attracted me to Northrop Grumman. And in general, I went to industry because, again, I didn't want to just continue doing what I was doing previously.
Wonderful. And I saw Victor and Alvin were going to comment on that as well.
Yeah, so just very quick, I graduated a year ago, so I still have the memory. I had this confusion. I wanted to go academia. I even had a couple postdoc offers from really big names in databases, and the decision was really hard. I think my main, I had two angles here. The first one is I feel like the academic route right now has become very hard for young researchers to do big things. So most of the stuff that you can work on now is incremental, and if you try to come with the new ideas, you have to be already a big name to do that. So building the career will be very challenging. The second thing is that I found an amazing opportunity at Oracle that fits exactly my research interests and most of my PhD studies. So I was like, okay, why don't I just pursue this route, and I can just innovate in building big systems that run the world at scale. So these are the two angles. One is that the current academic route is not, I didn't feel personally, there's not welcoming for young researchers, especially if they want to work in a very new big ideas. You have to do incremental stuff. And the other thing is that I found a catch.
Good. Thank you. Alvin, you were going to add something too?
Yeah, so I'll kind of rewind the tape a little bit. Like, I originally decided to pursue a graduate degree because like my interest was in computer graphics and vision. And it's just not a topic that is very well covered in undergraduate curriculums typically. And so you kind of have to get to at least a master's level or more to really, get the experience that you need in a classroom at least setting. From there, of course, I went to a PhD program, and I personally, this should not necessarily deter anyone, but I became jaded at the review process because I had received reviews that I considered not really reviewing the information or the stuff that we were trying to contribute as much as contributing their own personal opinion to knock us down. And so it wasn't very objective to me. And so all that eventually got me like very, I guess, exhausted with the review process. And so it was not something that I personally wanted to deal with anymore. Obviously, I understand other people might have a different experience in the paper submitting and reviewing process. At Google, I've honestly not continued as much on my research topics, but I am on a team that allows me to continually, stay on the cutting edge. We can't, use things from years ago. It's just too competitive. And so even though I don't like write papers, which is not necessarily that we're not allowed to, but we continue to develop with a research, aspect in mind.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll echo everything that people have already said, that it definitely isn't an easy decision, especially at that point when you're trying to make that decision. So I also toyed with it for a long time, but I was lucky in that, so my research was in game theory. And towards the tail end of my PhD, I was working with my professor on, we were trying to productize an auction algorithm that we had. And so we filed for a bunch of patents. We were trying to see if we could get funding. So I kind of had a little bit of a stint in talking with people in the industry and trying to sell our idea. It taught me a lot in just like understanding that I can't lead with, our algorithm has strong theoretical properties when you're trying to get funding from someone. But yeah, so that was, that whole experience made me think more deeply about, how my research can really be applicable in the real world, and I got more and more interested about the how it can be direct and more immediate, the impact by being in industry research. And luckily I had a couple of seniors who I really looked up to, who had already made that transition from having good PhD research work to being in industry. And so I reached out to them, picked their brains, and I think that solidified my decision.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All of this is great advice. Hopefully it's giving more clarity than questions to the students, but I think you all concur with the same theme. Okay, so next question, Alvin, you've touched on this a little bit. Maybe the rest can answer this question as well. Do you still get to do significant research? And how is research different from being in college?
Yeah. Me personally, I don't do research that much, but it's not something that was like a conscious choice of mine, I guess. It really depends on what you're working at the moment, because our team in particular always has projects related to figuring out how to improve the pose that we compute, and how to generate pose from other sorts of devices that that we have. For example, we recently launched Roadrunner, which allows people with regular phones with an AR core hardware to go ahead and submit video sequences to us that we can then pose, and then you can share with the world. So all that to make that work, it has a very strong research flavor to it. As I said, at least in my duration with the team, we have not submitted any papers. A lot of that comes back to a balance between what is intellectual property and what is not. So if that is something that, is of interest to you, then, every company probably approaches this a little bit differently. That doesn't prevent us from going to conferences. So we do have, and we are supported to go to conferences that align with our particular positions that we have. And of course, within Google, there are other teams that are certainly much more research oriented. They might literally be under Google Research, but there are other teams that also just publish more, on average. But my particular team does not.
Perfect. Thank you, Alvin. And I saw Morgan raising her hand.
Yeah, I wanted to give just a little bit of a different perspective. So when I got my master's, I actually did not do any research. I did the comprehensive exam option where you don't have a thesis, you just take kind of a long exam at the end of the program. And so as part of my regular job here at IBM, I don't do any formal research, but since we work directly with customers, we are helping and guiding them along the way. And since we are in the AI field, there is a lot of cutting edge technology that we're working with. So we're coming up with new methodologies and ways of doing things. And we have people on our teams who they're going to conferences and they're presenting on these topics and we're advising them. So I guess I say all that to say, there are, at least I have seen even though I didn't do research in college, I've seen opportunities within IBM to either still do research or not, or kind of be where I am, where maybe I'm advising those who are doing the formal research and stuff like that.
Perfect. Wonderful. Anyone else wants to add to this? Chinmay?
Our group is still involved with research. Again, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. We have a bunch of members in the team who are active members of the database research community. So we've been consistently submitting to conferences, SIGMOD, ICD, VLDB, and such. We also have a collaboration with a bunch of university research groups as well, with Harvard, Wisconsin, CMU, and I think even UCSD. And last summer we had one of Andy Paola's top students from CMU intern with us, and it was a really fun internship. He got to work on production code, and he's going to join us full time next month. So we are actively involved. Again, I would still say that there's a lot of encouragement if you're interested in really how much you want to push towards doing the research is kind of partially in your hands, but there's definitely a lot of encouragement in our group if you want to do it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Victor.
In terms of how it's different from university research, I think I already touched on this, that it's basically going to be guided by real world problems. Real world problems are always changing, so there's plenty of opportunities to work on related things, and there's no dearth of problems to work on in that sense. Fringe benefit is that you probably always have funding, you have more resources. I guess you don't have to write grants, you don't have to teach, though teaching is beautiful, I think. But yeah, there are those advantages as well. But I think the primary thing is that you can feel the impact sooner. You're just working on more important things that affect the world around you.
Wonderful. Victor.
Yeah, I'll add just a couple points over what Chinmay has said. So in our group, yes, we do publish. The process might be different. It might be, as Chinmay said, it's guided by our work, but it could be slower because you are focused in the development more than the writing. It could be delayed because we want to finish the product first and then write the paper about it, but the process exists. The other thing is that I got the chance also to finish the papers that I had left over from my PhD. So I had a VLDB last year, and I got the acceptance of another paper today from EDBT. So so this is encouraged and praised actually in our environment. So you can finish the work that you had before. You can work on new papers in the project that you're currently working on. It might be a little bit slower, different than what you do in academia because of the scale, because of the production, make things production, like the productization of the thing. So these are the challenges that you face, but the research is still available. The other thing that I want to add is that I actually got this job because I met my manager at VLDB.